All right, let's move on to something else. President Cyril Ramaphosa has been invited by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to attend the G7 summit in June. Now, the G7 summit brings together the world's richest economies and invited nations. Australia, India, South Korea, also part of the upcoming summit. To discuss, we're joined by the British High Commissioner to South Africa, Nigel Cassey. Thank you for being with us, High Commissioner. Firstly, is this going to be a virtual G7 or an in-person G7, looking at the timing in June?
Well, good evening, and thanks for having me on. The plan is to have it in person in June. Obviously, there's some pretty substantial challenges to doing that, but that's our Prime Minister's determined wish, so that's the plan.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure South Africa appreciates that we have been invited, but surely one of the biggest challenges will be getting our president there, given the concern about our variant, given what's happening right now.
Yeah, look, the reason for inviting President Ramaphosa is really, it's partly a sign of the respect in which he's held in G7 capitals, including our own, but also a recognition of the leading role he's played in Africa's response to coronavirus. And a lot of the focus of this summit is going to be about how we scale up manufacturing of the vaccines that we need to get us out of this crisis. And we think President Ramaphosa's got a lot to bring to the table. He's shown leadership in Africa, and he's an important part of the conversation. Yeah. And so despite the difficulties posed by the spread of these new variants around the world, our Prime Minister was determined to invite him, and we're delighted he's coming.
Yeah. All right. Do you not personally suspect, though, that he may not be there? I mean, we even have the talk of a third wave in our winter.
Yeah, we have talk of a third wave in the UK as well. Look, this is a global challenge. It has proved difficult to hold events in person up till now. Most of these conferences have been held online, but the plan for this one, as with the Commonwealth Summit, which is happening in Rwanda, also in June, is to do it in person, if at all possible. So, we're going to try and make that plan work.
Again, South Africa appreciating the invite, but just looking at the rationale behind this, COVID-19, you're saying the response is important. South Africa lagging behind several other countries in terms of vaccines. A lot of criticism right now. So why South Africa?
Well, President Ramaphosa, in his capacity as AU president in 2020, was really at the heart of the efforts to develop an AU response, as well as being the co-chair of a thing called ACTA, which was about producing global mechanisms such as COVAX to make sure there was equitable access to vaccines when they were ready. Now, UK and South African scientists have been at the forefront of our developing understanding of this virus. South Africa certainly has its challenges with obtaining and distributing vaccines. That is not an uncommon problem. The root problem is that we need to massively scale up the global manufacturing capacity for these new vaccines. And that is what is going to be on the agenda in Cornwall in June. And that's a conversation for which we believe President Ramaphosa's expertise and experience is vitally important.
Yeah. And South Africa, like you say, he was the AU chair, but South Africa currently not the AU chair. We're not chairing SADC either. Is South Africa still seen as a voice, in a sense, for the African continent, or not really?
No, President Ramaphosa has been invited in, as I say, as a reflection of the respect people have for him personally. The summit is not just about climate change. We're also not just about COVID. We're also going to be talking about climate change. There's a big international conference happening in Glasgow in November, and we're talking about how we're going to build our economies back better after coronavirus. And these are themes which you've heard President Ramaphosa talking about at home. So again, I think he's got a lot to bring to the table on the big themes of this event, and that's why he's been invited, not just as a representative of Africa.
Yeah. All right, then let's move. What is Britain hoping to get out of this G7 summit? So you've told us what's on the agenda. What about Brexit? Will that sort of be the elephant in the room? Reports of rising tensions between the EU, other European countries, and Britain, even about COVID doses and where they should come from.
Yeah, so as I say, the big areas of focus for this event will be, first of all, obviously is going to be the ongoing COVID crisis, and in particular, a focus on scaling up manufacturing, on issues like licensing, supply, because we have had this incredible success in getting effective vaccines developed and now starting to be deployed at a speed we've never seen before. So that's a success we really need to scale up and build on. So a solid commitment from G7 and from its outreach partners to really ramping that up, including putting more money into mechanisms like COVAX and the World Bank's mechanism to help countries buy vaccines through COVAX, I think are going to be a central part of the summit's output. We're also hoping that the summit will give a big boost to momentum ahead of the big climate change conference I mentioned in Glasgow in November. And some shared commitments on how we're going to reboot the global economy to make it fair and delivering for all of our peoples in our respective democratic societies. So there's a lot to talk about, and on all those issues, I think President Ramaphosa has a lot to bring to the table, personally, and South Africa as a country.
All right, we appreciate your time tonight, and of course we'll follow that summit, especially because South Africa will be involved. Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, inviting President Cyril Ramaphosa, and that was the British High Commissioner to South Africa, Nigel Cassey. Thank you very much for your time tonight.